We're joined by Rémy Rioux, who's Chief Executive Officer of the AFD Group. He's joining us from Paris. Morning, Rémy. Bonjour. I hope we can hear you as well. I hope you've been hearing what Eric and Patrick have been saying. You are CEO of the Agence Française de Développement, the AFD, but also Chair of Finance in Common Summit, the FIX, which is going to be meeting in February in Cape Town, a consortium of 585 development banks. So welcome. How are you building a collaborative global financial architecture? Where do you see the challenge, building on what we've heard from Eric and Patrick?
Good morning, Nick, and good morning, everybody. Sorry, I was with you last year, but for personal reasons, I cannot attend today. And I really want to commend the fantastic work made by UNEP FI and building bridges. Yes, there's an urgency to build bridges between north and south, Baku, public and private. So I'm here to maybe provide the voice of public development banks with you all, to bridge short-term and long-term, to bridge, of course, economic, social, and environmental. This is what SDGs are about. So yes, we launched now back in 2020 this gathering of all the public development banks in the world. We will reconvene in Cape Town at the end of February 26 to 28. Of course, you're all welcome. It's open to all stakeholders. And it will be very interesting because it will be same date, same location as the first meeting of the finance ministers and central bank governors of the G20. Eric was referring to regulation issues, our shareholders, our stakeholders in the room. So I think there's a really a very nice consistency between building bridges, UNEP FI, more, I would say, on the private side.
But can we talk about the ambitions, Rémy, about the whole of system approach that you're trying to introduce, a collaborative global financial architecture? What's the challenge and how can it be delivered at the speed that's necessary?
So good news is, yes, you mentioned it, about 600 public development banks in the world, so which would really together form a sort of backbone, I would say, a sort of vast, hopefully more efficient and less fragmented architecture of public investment. So in 2024, the MDB engine was, I think, is up and running, and I really want to commend what President Bonga of the World Bank, President Goldfage, and others are doing with this G20 roadmap. Now the idea is really next year in 2025 to plug the rest of the architecture, meaning mostly national public development banks, so that we can provide the buy-in of the countries and also the capacity to mobilize their own ecosystem in the country. So it means BNDES in Brazil, for instance, DBSA in South Africa, many others. And of course, it's with private investors, developing blended finance, developing financial markets, so that this whole of a public development bank system has really a transformational impact for the financial systems.
But can you be more specific about how to unlock and implement more ambition? What is the ambition, would you say, and how achievable is it?
So we have built a FIX lab. So we are working on specific issues. So as Patrick said it, the finalization of Article 6 and carbon markets is, of course, absolutely crucial. And you know, for now, carbon markets are totally private. So we need now to bring, and it was not possible until the negotiation was not finalized. We need to bring the public component to this market infrastructure. We need to animate these markets by originating high quality credits And this is one of the issues that has been identified between all of us. I remind you that, especially for European partners, that when you invest or when you buy carbon credits in a foreign country, this is in your own performance, so it can ease your own trajectory. So having a global perspective on where to reduce emissions and see where it's the most efficient to do it, it's probably better than to do it in your own small, be it the European Union box. And it can, of course, bring more international cooperation and a global trajectory that will be more, I would say, comprehensive and aligned between all of us. So we're working on carbon market, we're working on debt swaps, you know, many initiatives happening when we're working on contingent clauses in loan contracts. That's for public, but also for commercial banks. Why not? If a country is hit by a severe catastrophe, we should provide the liquidity somehow by suspending our contracts. And we're also working, it's more tricky and difficult, but very important, on how to ease FX, currency risks, to provide investors more certainty of the value of their
Now, Rémy, one of the things you've introduced is the FIX Innovation Lab. What is that looking at, and how much is that creating the new agenda for February in Cape Town?
So I just mentioned you the four topics we are precisely working. There's a call for project for all of us that was launched. So support financed by the Children Investment Fund Foundation, our dear friends of CIF. And yes, we need more innovation, especially between public and private. This connection, articulation that is still to be improved. And of course, you know the discussion happening at the level of our leaders, especially about SDR. How could we leverage more issuance of SDR? There are proposals on the table by multilateral development banks. I hope we will make it maybe by February. And you know also the discussion on how to convince our own citizens to provide more concessional resources. And we know we're in time of fiscal constraints, to push our institution to blend finance so that we go in frontier markets where we should reduce emission, where we should reduce vulnerabilities, provide growth, and that's the issue, especially of global levies at the level of the G20.
Rémy, so, can I just pause you one moment? We've got about 4 minutes left, and we've got about 500 people in the room. What I'd like to see if anyone wants to ask any questions. There are paddles, there are microphones. Put up your hand, put up a piece of paper, just so I can see whether anyone wants to just ask you any specific points which can help your Cape Town agenda. Anyone quickly? I can't see anybody. Rémy, is there anything more you want to add? And please put up your hand in the next 4 minutes if you'd like to just put a question to Rémy. But going ahead, what would you say the mood is of everything you've talked about, the urgency, which we've just been hearing from Eric and Patrick, faced with these headwinds, not just because of physical storms, but political headwinds and so many other headwinds, which we were discussing yesterday?
Before that, just invite all of you in the room again to, there is blended finance. I mean, how could we de-risk investments? And that's very important. But you all have to remember that the most obvious and easy way to mobilize private finance is just having the balance sheet of public development banks grow, because we are, of course, blending by nature. We are issuing bonds on the markets that you are buying, and we are investing for climate in frontier markets. So this is the discussion that will take place at the World Bank level, but it's a way wider discussion. And our proposal, of course, to the regulators, to the rating agencies, to the investors, is maybe, you know, there are sovereign bonds on the markets, there are municipal bonds. Maybe we should try to invent a new asset class, a new category of emitters that would be the public development bank's bonds. So if you could help us in this, especially in Cape Town at the end of February, I think that would really make a breakthrough and provide the incentives in the market within our institutions so that we step up. I mean, we increase the quality of our investments, the quality of our procedures, and the articulation with private. And to come back to your point, Nick, I'm really optimistic. We see so many things happening in terms of decarbonization. And I was, like Patrick, in Baku a few weeks ago. I went to Beijing immediately afterward to see the mood there. And yes, the momentum is still there. The NCQG decision, not only the 300 billion Patrick was referring to, but also the 1.3 trillion Paris-aligned finance, meaning private finance that has to be aligned, is also a goal now for 2035. And we propose to identify a category called transformational finance that would precisely bridge, will be the part of the concessional public resources that would help bridge between public and private, transform institutions, help set the right trajectories.
Now, Rémy, we've got literally 1 minute. So let me ask you about the PDBs as an asset class for connecting private to public investment. Literally 1 minute, if you can.
Sure. It's already there. You have about 100 public development banks that are issuing bonds on the market already, but it's 100 only out of about 600. So the question to all of you is, how could we accompany these institutions? Of course, to have the right procedures, to pass the test of market credibility, and then push them to mobilize concessional finance and originate way more bankable projects for your own investments than what we have on the table. So we need this finance in common initiative is really building a vast, efficient machine of origination and co-financing with private for SDGs and to leave no one behind, of course.
All right, Rémy, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Nick.
You've created a very clear framework of ambition and determination and capacity. So thanks very much indeed for joining us from Paris this morning.
Thank you.